This is your Prefessional guide for the first wing of the Venomous Abyss raid. The video is split into two parts. Part 1 covers the general mechanics, and Part 2 focuses on role-specific duties. Grab your free cheat sheets using the link down in the pinned comment, like and subscribe for more WoW content. Let's go. Nek'zali the Soulcoiler. This is a two-phase fight with an intermission when the boss reaches 50% HP. In the center of the room is a soul coil well. You obviously don't want to step in this, and you're going to be spending the entire fight keeping the boss's small adds out of it as well. Phase 1's primary responsibility is to stop all the waves of adds from reaching the soul well. During the intermission, the boss goes immune and the raid has to defeat 2 big adds. Finally, in Phase 2, this is a DPS race before the boss enrages, so of course you're going to save your lust for this part. Phase 1. Let's start by talking about the soul coil well. If any players die in this, or any of the restless Amani, which are the boss's small adds, reach this, it triggers a soul coil right. A soul coil right grants the boss 5 energy, deals a burst of raid damage, and then applies a stackable dot that lasts for 44 seconds. And as a final note here, that energy part is important. If the boss reaches 100 energy, she enrages, wiping the group, so make sure you're keeping the adds out of that well. Now, when you first pull the boss, she uses soul coil ignition. This invokes the soul coil right every second for 4 seconds, so every time the boss uses ignition, expect some heavy raid damage. At the same time, multiple circles will be sent out that need to be avoided. They deal some damage and knock you backwards. Essence Rend is going to target several players. You'll see a spirit spawn and you'll be pulled towards it for about 5 seconds. Then it's going to knock you backwards and apply its debuff. This debuff lasts for 15 seconds, but it is dispellable. You want to go and drop this debuff along the outside wall. Once it falls off, it spawns a latent cultist and leaves a permanent ground effect that rotates slowly around the room. If you get hit by this, it deals damage and slows you by 40%. Restless Amani will start spawning in spirits from the coffins that are located around the outside of the room. You can tell where they will be spawning by which coffins are lit up. These spirits beeline for the well until their magic shield is broken. Once their shield breaks, then they will pursue after players and can be tanked. You're going to want to group them up as much as possible and AoE them all down. Tanks have 2 things to deal with here. The boss's melee attacks apply a stacking debuff that deals damage every 3 seconds and reduces healing and absorption effects received by 5% for 15 seconds. Possession Barrage is the main mechanic here. The boss begins this 6-second cast, and you want to run away from her as far as you can. She sends out spirits that once they reach you, they explode, dealing raid damage. The damage of those spirits is reduced based off of how far they have to travel in order to reach you. You're going to be swapping after each of these barrages. The Intermission. At 50% HP, Nek'zali retreats to the well, goes immune, and summons in 2 Echoes of Jawwe. The raid needs to defeat both of these adds to end the intermission. She activates one of these at a time with Soul Transfer. Make sure you're staying out of this effect once the cast finishes. The Echo has one ability called Hungering Pyre. This is a soak circle that is placed on the active tank. All melee should help soak this to split up the damage. Ranged players not in the soak circle will be hit by an 8-second dot. You'll still be dealing with the Restless Amani trying to reach the well, so make sure you're managing them correctly. Defeat both Echoes and Phase 2 will begin. Phase 2 is a DPS race to the end, so now is the time to lust. The boss will continuously pulse raid-wide shadow damage from uncoiling until she dies. The Amani are still trying to reach the well, and the cultists are still going to rotate around the room. There is a new ability called Invoke. This triggers the soul coil right, but now causes those cultists to reposition around the room, so it doesn't really matter as much where you're dropping them as they're just going to sporadically move around. Role-specific duties. Tanks. Run away from the raid when Possession Barrage starts to be cast. Swap after each barrage. Try to keep the boss and the Echoes near the adds for extra cleave damage. Healers. Dispel Essence Rend targets when they are near the outside wall. Expect heavy raid damage during Soul Coil Ignition and the 44 seconds after. Expect constant bursts of damage during the intermission, and the damage ramps the longer Phase 2 lasts. DPS. The adds are the top priority. Knock them back and kill them before they reach the center well. Make sure you're dropping your Essence Rend near the wall, and pop defensives during the intermission soaks and dots. The Twin Fangs. This is a single phase fight with a brief intermission when the bosses reach 100 energy. The main goal of this fight is to not let your Eternal Venom stat count reach 10, otherwise you die. And if the boss is submerged 3 times, it's also a wipe. So, lust on pull. Phase 1. Eternal Venom is a stackable debuff that ticks damage. This does not have a timer, and you can only remove stacks by using Ithraz's Feast ability. If you reach 10 stacks of this, you instantly die, and it's applied with basically every boss attack, so make sure you're paying attention and avoiding everything you can. You also want to defeat both bosses at the same time. If one dies, the other enrages, increasing their damage every 4 seconds and will quickly wipe the raid. Let's cover Ithraz's abilities first. Ravenous Feast. This is the only way to remove your Eternal Venom stacks. He will roar, knock the raid backwards, and then create a large soak circle near him. He will hit this 3 times in succession. You can only remove 1 stack of Eternal Venom per feast. As an important note, you cannot completely remove Eternal Venom, so if you have 1 stack, don't get hit unless there is nobody else helping soak. Each hit deals big damage, so you don't want people solo soaking this. Coiling Ichor targets random players with a ring for 12 seconds. You want to run this to the edge of the platform as it drops a ground effect once it expires. Another really important note on this dot increases in damage as it gets closer to falling off, so healers need to be aware, and you should be using a defensive if you're targeted with this. Stonebreaker is the tank mechanic. This marks 3 spots with soak circles. The circles appear one by one, so remember the order in which they appear, as that is in the order that the boss will attack. Each hit applies a stacking debuff, increasing the damage taken from Stonebreaker for 1.5 minutes. If you miss a soak, it deals a big burst of raid damage and knocks everyone backwards. Vexel's abilities. Venomous Emergence is going to summon 3 non-movable adds in the center pool of the room. These 3 adds target random players with line attacks. The player targeted should step to the side so that nobody else gets hit by this. DPS need to quickly burn these guys down. Stir the Depths deals raid damage over 6 seconds and causes waves of venom to travel around the room. Make sure that you're dodging these. Caustic Deluge is the main mechanic. It hits the tank over 5 seconds, applying an envenom debuff and creating a bunch of caustic globules around the area. These globules need to be soaked by players, otherwise they explode, dealing damage and applying a stack of Eternal Venom to the entire raid. The envenom debuff increases damage taken by Caustic Deluge for 1.5 minutes. An important note for tanks here, both Caustic Deluge and Stonebreaker happen close together, so swap after both of these attacks goes off. The Intermission. When the bosses reach 100 energy, they will submerge and reappear. When they both submerge, they cover that part of the platform in Noxious Slick, which deals damage and slows you if you're in it. Vexel will reappear in the center pool, and Ithraz reappears in a different corner. Vexel will have a ring of orbs spinning around him. This telegraphs his Vile Flood breath attack and which way he will rotate. He starts from where he is facing and then slowly rotates around in a circle. Locate where Ithraz is and quickly rotate towards him to start dealing damage. Just stay aware of where that breath attack is. Ithraz uses Sanguine Storm, which continuously throws out circles around the platform, so as you rotate, just dodge all of these. Once the intermission is over, Vexel will submerge and reappear next to Ithraz, where phase 1 will repeat. If you see a third submerge, then it's a DPS race to the end because the platform will be fully consumed in that Noxious Slick. Role-specific duties. Tanks. Memorize the soak order of Stonebreaker. Swap after you both have Caustic Deluge and the Stonebreaker debuff. Always stay in melee range and don't reach 10 stacks of Eternal Venom. Healers. Eternal Venom deals more damage the more stacks a player has. Coiling Ichor targets take heavier damage as it expires, and expect bursts of raid damage during Caustic Deluge and Stir the Depths. Make sure you don't reach 10 stacks of Eternal Venom. DPS. Vexel's spawns are the top priority. Run your Coiling Ichor to the edge of the platform and pop a defensive. Soak globules and don't reach 10 stacks of Eternal Venom. Congratulations, you're now a Prefessional raider. If this guide helped you, hit that thumbs up and subscribe for more WoW content. A huge shout out to these channel members that are on the screen. If you want early ad-free access to my videos, click that join button down below. Snag yourself some Prefessional merch. All my links are down in the description. Check out these other videos that are now popping up on the screen, and I'll see you in the next one.